An event not seen in decades kicks off with drama as the Texas Senate tries the impeachment of Attorney General Ken Paxton.
Immoral, unethical, and I had a good faith belief that it was illegal.
Former top members of the AG's office testify about what they saw, their testimony, and the heated cross-examination setting the course for the case. Texas border buoys making a ripple across the country as courts weigh in on whether the barriers need to be removed.
Once people found an avenue to keep information secret, they utilized it.
Justice no longer denied as the so-called dead suspect loophole is removed by state lawmakers. The impact this change will have with the representative who helped end this practice.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. History at the Texas Capitol as the impeachment trial for suspended Attorney General Ken Paxton got underway. It kicked off with ceremony, but then a critical vote to decide whether the impeachment would move forward at all. Monica Madden shows us the start of this historic trial.
A historic day in the Texas Senate.
So help me God. So help me God.
Unable to vote, Senator Angela Paxton hugged her husband before embarking on the trial that could remove him from office. It started with the swearing in of key players.
I do solemnly swear or affirm.
Then senators voted to deny all of Paxton's requests to toss out articles.
There being 22 nays and 8 yeas, the motion is denied. 24 nays and 6 ayes, the motion is denied. Motion is denied.
In opening statements, the Republican who led impeachment in the House laid out the lower chamber's case.
The House uncovered egregious misconduct and abuse of office by the Attorney General of the state of Texas. He should be removed from office and prevented from ever holding a position of trust in the state of Texas.
Paxton's attorneys pushed back, attacking the process and what they call false narratives about Paxton.
Why did it happen when it did? What was the rush? We've heard in the media about burner phones, secret email addresses, Uber rides, stolen pens, pilfered sport coats. Those are manufactured lies.
Both asking the jury to do the right thing after senators prayed for fortitude as they take on a duty only few have before.
We just pray that when all this is over, that all of us will walk away knowing in your eyes that we did the right thing.
Monica joins us now. I want to start with the vote on the first day on whether to dismiss all the charges. It failed by a 24-6 vote. That's a huge margin, but Paxton only needs 10 senators on his side to avoid impeachment, right?
That's right. We have that 2/3 majority threshold in order to impeach or convict, I should say, on any of the articles of impeachment. And it just has to be on one of the 16 articles that senators are considering. And I think this 24-6 vote maybe gave us a little bit of a preview of where the senators stand, but don't want to read too much into it. This was just on a vote of whether or not to dismiss the articles of impeachment. Paxton's defense team was arguing that there was not enough evidence. So even though you had senators vote no, 24 of them vote no, we shouldn't dismiss that. Maybe they just wanted to see the evidence. So I think it is an early sign, but we still have a ways to go in the trial.
Who are these 6 senators?
Paul Betancourt of Houston, Donna Campbell of New Braunfels, Brandon Creighton of Conroe, Bob Hall of Edgewood, Lois Colkhurst of Brenham, and Tan Parker of Flower Mound. Half of those senators, though, Betancourt, Campbell, and Parker, are up for re-election in 2024. So keep in mind, we immediately in the aftermath of the House impeachment saw some of those Republicans who did vote to impeach. They started getting primary opponents. So that perhaps could be a factor. Now, there were at least 5 Republicans who voted in favor of dismissing the articles at least once. That's Senator Brian Birdwell of Granbury, Brian Hughes of Mineola, Charles Perry of Lubbock, Charles Schwartner of Georgetown, and Kevin Sparks of Midland. Josh.
All right, Monica, thank you very much. Former employees of the Attorney General's office took the witness stand, starting with Jeff Mateer. He served as Assistant Attorney General, basically Ken Paxton's second in command. Ryan Chandler looks closer at what he said on the stand.
I concluded that Mr. Paxton was engaged in conduct that was immoral, unethical, and I had a good faith belief that it was illegal.
Paxton's top attorney turned whistleblower, star witness for Paxton's prosecutors, recounting what he saw working in the AG's office.
The problem is the office is being used for the benefit of one person. It's not exercising its own independent judgment. You have the Attorney General acting on behalf of one person, and by this time, I knew that he was a campaign donor.
Mateer says that donor, Austin real estate developer Nate Paul, got special treatment from Paxton to the detriment of other Texans.
This is all hearsay.
Paxton's defense confrontational, calling Mateer's accusations hearsay and his FBI complaint premature.
Is it possible, Mr. Mateer, that you jumped to a lot of conclusions really fast?
I don't believe so, sir.
And you could have put all this to bed if you had just talked to your boss.
I attempted to talk to him starting probably in June, July, August, September.
No.
I did.
Take it easy.
I did talk to him, sir.
Take it easy.
This kind of shooting in the dark is inappropriate.
Ryan Chandler, State of Texas.
We're back with Monica and Will DuPree, anchor for KXAN Live. You both covered this trial all week. Who are the witnesses we're hearing from and what are they alleging?
Well, the first three witnesses that prosecution called were top officials within the Office of Attorney General. Those who know how the office works, there's this so-called eighth floor where most of the highest ranking officials work. And these are some of those types of figures. They were First Assistant Attorney General, Deputy First Assistant Attorney General, people who really had Paxton's ear, and that's why prosecution called them to the witness stand to really give their account of the conversations that they had with Paxton about their concerns about his relationship with Nate Paul.
And they said and testified that, they had many different instances during a few months in 2020 where they had concerns about how the office was potentially being used on behalf of Nate Paul. Again, this Austin real estate developer and a campaign donor to Ken Paxton. They said that at least two of the witnesses said that, they had concerns about this and raised them with Paxton over and over again, and their advice was not heeded. Ultimately, that led them and a group of whistleblowers to go to the FBI and report this alleged misconduct and potential crimes to that agency.
What's the strategy been like for defense lawyers when they've been cross-examining these witnesses?
Well, I think as you would see in any other trial, obviously defense's goal is to make the witness seem less credible. And that certainly was a theme during the cross-examination that we heard with defense lawyers, really grilling these officials on their conversations with Paxton and whether or not they had actual evidence before going to the FBI. A lot of those witnesses, of course, countered with that, saying, we had very good reason to believe that there was illicit activity going on, and that's where they did hand it off to the federal officials to take it from there, and tends to be more of the FBI's job to go and search for that concrete evidence. But I think you really saw a strategy from defense of kind of, at some points yelling at them to really sort of catch them off guard almost.
It was a very combative exchanges that happened, especially as the witnesses and their testimony went along. The third witness, Ryan Vassar, they had to be reprimanded at times, the defense attorneys did, because of just how elevated the voices became and the peppering of questions that he received during that testimony.
Beyond that combativeness, what has been some of the moments that have really stuck out as being notable from this trial so far?
Well, speaking of Ryan Vassar, I think he definitely had one of those, a lot of standout moments in his testimony, notably when he first took the witness stand. At the time, Rusty Hardin, prosecutor, was asking him questions and asked him about a comment that Paxton made about Vassar after he reported him to the FBI and was later terminated. Paxton had publicly referred to him as a rogue employee, and Hardin was questioning him about this, and he started to choke up at the witness stand. And, as he was being pressed about that, he said, I spent years of my life dedicated to public service, and to be called that, he said it was very hurtful. And it was to the point where someone from defense actually got up to bring him a tissue while he was on the witness stand.
The first witness called during this impeachment trial, another moment that happened with him, Jeff Mateer, was this big question that kind of hung through all the testimony. Was a lot of these whistleblowers were wondering, what is this connection that Ken Paxton and Nate Paul have, and why are these certain actions being taken at this time? Jeff Mateer testified that he believed that there was potential blackmail happening. And this is all tied to an extramarital affair that they say Ken Paxton had. During the testimony, prosecutors said that the alleged mistress was employed at Nate Paul's office, and that may be the reason why there was that connection. Again, the defense refutes all of that, denies all those kinds of allegations. So that's really a big exchange that happened during the very first part of this trial.
Well, I really appreciate all the coverage you've done. You've seen every minute of this trial so far, and I know there's many more minutes to come, so thank you for all the coverage. The legal battles over buoys along the border, shifting with the political and judicial currents once again. The impact of the new maneuvers in court that could ultimately sink the state's effort. And a victory in the fight for police transparency, how a hard-fought effort to pass a new law could bring justice and closure for some Texas families.